Hello, friends, and welcome to another captivating session of Wisdom Zone. And this is Shubro, and I'm quite sure you have already guessed it. Today, we have the fifth part of Develop Your Spoken English and Become Fluent and Proficient in Your Spoken English. So, it is my earnest request please watch this video till the end because today we are going to discuss about storytelling in English, how you can narrate a story and become more confident and proficient in communication. So it is my request, if you haven't subscribed to Zone yet, please do subscribe to Zone and hit the bell icon and continue watching this video carefully till the end because today I am going to show you how you too can narrate a wonderful story in English using the right vocabulary and the right tenses. So without further ado, let's get started. So let me quickly remind all of you before I move forward, especially let me remind the new viewers. I have already shared the links of previous four parts in the description. That is from part 1 to part 4. You will find all those links in the description. So if you haven't checked all those videos, do not forget and check for previous four parts, and it's going to help you immensely because there I have discussed some latest techniques which you can use to practice and develop your communication and become more proficient and fluent. And I have also discussed how to participate in a role play. I have given some topics also, and in the last video I have also discussed how to narrate a picture and how to go ahead and do a picture description using simple present tense as well as present continuous tense. So it is my earnest request, do not forget to check the previous four videos also, and the links are given in the description. So, friends, welcome once again to the fifth session of Develop Your Spoken English and Become More Fluent and Proficient in Spoken English. And today, my special emphasis is on storytelling in English, which I have already mentioned. So, before I move on and just discuss about storytelling and show you what are the important elements of storytelling, at first, let me brief you about the importance of storytelling. As you see on your screen, it is given over here, the importance of storytelling, right? So yes, so storytelling is an essential element of interpersonal skills which is crucial to build a rapport with others in today's social environment. Okay, and it's a wonderful way to connect with the people both in your professional and personal life, because it is quite imperative when you are in your professional life, you are giving a presentation or you're going for public speaking, you have to sometimes narrate some incidents or stories and also narrate anecdotes. Okay, it is quite essential, and in your personal life also it helps you to stay connected with people. So it is imperative to know how to narrate a story in English in today's social environment. Okay, so it's a wonderful way to connect with people, get along with people. So today we are going to learn that only how you can narrate a story correctly in English, right? So without further ado, let's get started with our main discussion. So today, let me tell you what we are going to do. At first, I'm going to show you how you can narrate a story. Okay, I'll focus on narratives or anecdotes as you see on your screen. Today we are going to discuss about narratives or anecdotes. So you must be wondering what exactly is an anecdote. So don't get baffled. Anecdote is also a story. An anecdote, as you see on your screen, is a short, amusing, or informative story about an incident or a person. Okay. So today we are going to discuss about anecdotes or narratives, which is just a short story, okay, amusing story, okay, based on a particular incident that happened maybe in your life or someone's life. Okay, and they are quite informative as well as amusing too, right? And they can be real and they can be fictional also, right? So today I'm going to show you how we can narrate this type of short stories or anecdotes in your day-to-day conversation, and also you can use that in public speaking also, right? So let's dive into the important elements of storytelling, especially important elements which we should know about anecdotes. So as you see, the first important element which you must be aware to narrate a short story or anecdote is the caption or title. As you see on your screen, the caption or title. So you have to give a caption. Okay, as you know, caption means the heading or a brief title, okay, explanation of that particular story or whatever you are going to narrate. So that is very important. So give a title, give a caption that is going to help you to get connected with the story. It's going to help you to also think in a very clear manner. So without title, if you try, you can try initially, it's not a big deal, but it's always advisable to have a caption or a title. So give a title which obviously is related to the story. Okay, don't give a title or caption which is not at all related. Okay, that is quite essential. So choose a title or caption which is quite related to your story. Okay, so up next, we are going to see the key elements of storytelling. The first is the setting. As you see on your screen is setting. Setting is the background of the story. Okay, that means it tells us about the backdrop of the story. Primarily, it tells us two things: when and where. Okay, when and where this incident happened. Okay, so the story which you are going to narrate, when it happened and where it happened, that is the setting or the backdrop. Okay, so it is important to discuss the setting or the backdrop or the background of the story. Okay, so say for example I am narrating a story, but I am not exactly explaining where it happened and when it happened, right? So the people who are listening to my story would not get it, right? So you have to give a kind of a reference. Okay, just today I'm going to narrate a story. This incident happened 15 years back in Mumbai. So here I'm talking about when it happened and where it happened. Okay, so like this way, you have to mention the background of the story. Then comes characters. As you see, the second important element is the characters, okay, of the story. Okay, so the characters are important because you need characters to narrate a story. Okay, so there can be a central character, okay, or that person is called a protagonist, the main character, okay, of a story is called a protagonist, and there can be an antagonist also who's just a villain, right? And apart from that, there can be other multiple characters, so you need to introduce some characters. Okay, you can be a character in your own story also, so characters are important, so you need to introduce characters in the story. Third is the plot. As you see, third special element is the plot. Plot means the storyline. What exactly is the main event of the story? Okay, so that is called plot. Basically, storyline is called plot. Okay, so there must be some kind of plot. Okay, that this story is about incident that happened, or when you're talking about a particular incident, you have to mention that what is the basic plot. The plot is about a catastrophe that happened in Delhi, right? This plot is about the a disaster that took place in this city, right? So that's the plot. Plot is the basic storyline that is on which you are going to narrate the story. It can be related to any catastrophe or any incident. So we have to mention the plot or the basic storyline, which is important. Then we are going to go ahead and see what are the other elements we should keep in mind while narrating a story, which can help us immensely to narrate a story easily. Okay, so other essential elements include, the first is time words. As you see on your screen, time words are very important because without time words you cannot talk about any incident that happened right in past. So time words are required to narrate about a particular incident that happened. Okay, so time words, as you see on your screen, the examples are given, right? It can be yesterday, you can talk about years or weeks, months, days. Okay, and as you already mentioned, so it can be past year. Okay, in it can be also like last month, last week, last year. All these are time words because by using this you can just mention about a particular time incident that happened. So if I just start a story, but if I don't use time word, then it's not going to be somehow clear to the people, right? Okay, so if I say, for example, if I'm narrating a story, so and say that he went to Mumbai. Okay, so this is not clear from the sentence when it happened. So if I use a time on it would be clear. He went to Mumbai last month. So the last month, this is a time word I'm using. Okay, so last month, last year. Okay, It can be years or weeks or yesterday. So anything that somehow tells us about a particular time. Okay. And here we are going to use time words to talk about past. Okay. So I hope it's clear how to use time words. So up next, we are also going to see the use of tenses, right? So we use primarily simple past tense, past continuous tense also, okay? And we also use simple present tense sometimes and continuous tense also. And we also use future tense, okay? So you must be wondering that how to use them. So let me show you. We all know that how to use simple past because story is all about past. When you're narrating an anecdote, it's a short story about an incident that already happened, so you're talking about past. So you can use past tense. It's quite imperative. As you see the example, Kevin went to London last week, so I am using past tense went. Okay. And I can also use past continuous if it's required. See, as you see on your screen, the example, last night Kevin was watching a movie while his mother was cooking. So I am using past continuous here. Okay. So like this way we can use simple past tense and also past continuous tense. Okay. And sometimes we have to also use simple present tense. You must be wondering where to use simple present and how to. So let me show you that where we have to use simple present. Because sometimes while narrating about past, also when you're narrating a story, sometimes we have to talk about things that do not change. So that time we have to use simple present tense. Okay. So as you see the example on your screen, last week I went to visit Kevin, comma, Kevin is my best friend. So here I'm talking about an incident that I went to visit Kevin. I'm using past tense, but the next part is in present because I'm talking about my relationship with Kevin. Kevin is my best friend. That means he's still my best friend. So here I have to use simple present tense. Okay. And the next important element which you should know is use of said while narrating a story, which is imperative to narrate because sometimes we have to quote what someone says, okay, in the story. So that time we have to use said and exactly quote what the person said to you. Okay, and you put it in the inverted comma when you write, right? So we can say that he said, I am not ready. So you don't have to change the tense here. You just quote what the person said. This is very important to know how to use said because we cannot use told every time in a narration or storytelling because we have to use said because we have to make it sound narrative, right? So that time we have to use said and then just exactly mention the exact sentence that person mentioned. Okay, so that's the way you have to use said while narrating a story or anecdote. Okay, so I hope it's crystal clear how to narrate a story, what are the important elements. Okay, so up next I'm going to show you how to narrate a story. I'm going to give you an example. Okay, and I'll show you how to narrate a story. I'll discuss about a story which you will see on your screen. Okay, so as you see on your screen, I have a story for today, okay, which I'm going to narrate. Yes, and I think it's important also to give a title. So let me give a caption of the story. So the caption of the story is a narrow escape. Okay, so I'm going to show you the story. As you see this first paragraph of the story, so you see on your screen, the story is a narrow escape. Okay, it's an anecdote. Okay, you have to go ahead like this way. As you see on your screen, I'm just reading it out. This incident happened in my life when I was in 8th standard and was studying in St. Mount School. Okay, so here you see in this particular line, I'm talking about the setting. Okay, when this happened and where it happened. Okay, it happened when I was in 8th standard and where that happened in my school, that is St. Mount School. Okay, so as I already mentioned, the first element which we have to keep in mind that I'm trying to use over here, okay, that is the setting. Okay, after you define the caption, you go to the setting of the backdrop, when it happened and where it happened. So it happened when I was in 8th standard and I was studying in St. Mount School, right? That's the place. So let's see the next line. One day after the school hours, suddenly our physical education teacher, Mr. Harry, came to the classroom and asked us to stay back for an hour. He told us It was for PT drills for the upcoming sports event. So here, see, I'm introducing characters. I have introduced one character. Apart from me, I have also introduced this character, Mr. Harry, right? So which I mentioned, the second element, you have to introduce the character step by step. Okay. So here you see one character. So let's see the next part of the story. We were very much disappointed to hear that, but Sam started grinning at me. Normally, Sam is a cool customer and he is also my best friend. So I went to him and whispered, "What's so funny?" So again, I'm introducing another character. As you see, his name is Sam, who is my best friend. Okay. So here again, I'm introducing one more character. You see, his name is Sam, who is my best friend. Okay. So let's see the next part of the story. He said, "I will not stay back. I have a plan to escape. If you want, you can join me." I said, "Yes, I want to go because I am exhausted. The question is how." Then he explained his plan and said, "Mr. Harry is alone today and he will ask us to go to the small ground which is on the right of the school building. But we will go left instead and take the narrow lane and escape." It seemed a brilliant idea to me, so we acted accordingly and took the left turn without getting noticed, and we fled. Mr. Harry could not see us as he had to monitor so many students alone. So, indeed, it was a narrow escape. So, I hope it's clear. This is a short anecdote, and this incident really happened in my life, but I have changed the names of the characters and also of the school. So I'm quite sure for privacy it's changed, but the story is real. Okay, which I narrated. This incident happened to. In fact, I in fact fled with one of my friends. Right. So this is the way you have to narrate an anecdote. Okay. So I hope it's crystal clear. So you talk about some incidents like this, where simple incident that happened in your life, in your school, college. Yeah, it can be also related to your college life or school life or professional life or any incident that happened in your life, or you want to narrate a story related to some other person, okay, life of another person. You can do that also, but the important thing that you have to notice that it is not mandatory that it should be a real incident. Okay, as I already mentioned, short stories or anecdotes can be fictional also. It can be something which is made up also, right? So you can try and make up stories like this way and practice, which is going to help you immensely. So you don't need to worry. I will share some important tips how you can practice. So before that, let me quick you that how you can narrate a story. I narrated an anecdote, and I hope you got that. Okay, it was a real incident, but I have changed the characters and the name of the school also, right? So, but let me quickly recap what are the important elements of narrating an anecdote or a story. The first thing is that you have to try and give a caption or title, as you see. The second is the setting or the background or the backdrop of the story. Okay. And obviously it includes two things: when it happened and where it happened. Okay. So as I showed that in my story, as in the first line I mentioned, this incident happened in my life when I was in 8th standard and was studying in St. Mount School. Right? So here I'm answering when and where. Okay. This incident happened when I was in 8th standard, and where that it happened in my school. Okay, so talk about the background so that the audience or the people can understand about the story, the background of it. Then introduce the characters the way I did. Okay, I introduced the character of my PT teacher, although I changed the name. I don't want to offend him. So I changed his name to Mr. Harry. So you can introduce some other characters as per your story. Then I introduced my friend. I also changed his name also, right? And yes, like this way you can introduce more characters. There can be a central character, okay, a protagonist, or there can be more than one protagonist also in the story. The protagonist, this word means a central character. So you will also find this kind of interesting vocabulary in a video, and I have already shared that link in the description. You learn about all this type of important words: protagonist, antagonist, and the link is given in the description. Okay, so the next important element which I'm going to recap is that the plot, as I already mentioned, the plot is the main event of the story. Okay, what's the story is all about? It's all about an escape. My story was all about an escape from yes, school, right? And you have to also talk about the plot. Okay, and right, then you have to use the time words already mentioned when you're narrating. The special elements are like time word. Okay, because without that you cannot narrate. So I can show you in my story. I started like this way: one day after the school hours. So one day is a time word here. Okay, so like this way you have to use time words: one day, okay, yesterday, or last year. The use of time word, then use of the right tense is important. You must know how to use the right tense. Simple past, I already mentioned, most of the time we use that past continuous. Then sometimes you can use simple present tense. So again, in my story, I'll just show you that line where I have used simple present tense. So yes, in as you see on your screen, in this particular segment, I am using simple present tense. Okay, so as you see on your screen, yes, as you see on your screen, we were very much disappointed to hear that, but Sam started grinning at me. Normally, Sam is a cool customer and he's also my best friend. So here I'm using present tense. The Sam is a cool customer. That means still he's a cool customer and he's still my best friend. So here I'm using present tense. Okay. So as per the situation, you have to use present tense. Okay. So here I am using present tense. And yes, sometimes you have to use future tense also. Suppose you're referring to something, right? Then that time also you have to use future tense. Okay. Or you're quoting something. That time also you have to use future tense. Okay. And then obviously the, as I mentioned, the use of said, that time also I mentioned that. Here also I used that in my story, that see on your screen. He said, I will not stay back. So I'm just exactly quoting what Sam told me. Okay, I'm just quoting it. So he said, I will not stay back. So here also you have to use stay. You can use said and directly quote what someone is saying. Now, I'm also going to help you out with some important ways to practice, as you see on your screen. Okay, how to practice. So let me tell you, I'm going to give you some, yes, topics on which you can practice. At first, I'm going to share one particular plot point which you can use and elaborate and narrate a short anecdote or story, right? So, as you see, the first situation is on your screen. One day you received a parcel. It was sent to you via courier. Okay. When you opened it, you were completely surprised. Okay. So, this is the situation I gave you. Now, what you have to do, you have to continue the situation and elaborate this anecdote or story. Okay, in your own words you have to do it, right? So try this out and also comment below. And the next, yeah, situation, or I'm going to give you a particular topic which you can use. You can describe any interesting incident that happened during your school or college days. This is a topic you can use. You can just narrate an anecdote that is related to any interesting incident that happened in your, that happened during your school days or college days. So this is the second situation you can use. Okay, so try out these two situations and try to narrate a story the way I mentioned, and also comment below. And at last, let me tell you what else you can do. You can also select some pictures from newspapers, magazine, or online search, and you can try to narrate a story using that. Okay, it can be fictional also, no problem. Try the fictional story, but first of all, you try to narrate an anecdote. Try to narrate a real story that happened in your life, which you are comfortable, which you will feel comfortable to narrate. Okay, first try that. Then you can try to select some pictures and make some fictional story and narrate a short story or anecdote. Okay, so I hope it's clear how to narrate a short story. Today we discussed what is an anecdote, what are the important elements of storytelling, especially short stories. Okay, and let me remind you that I am also going to come up with more videos on storytelling, especially how to narrate a story using pictures. Okay, using multiple characters and multiple pictures. Okay, and how you can elaborate a story. Okay, so that's also I'm going to discuss in the coming videos, right? So I hope you understood how to narrate a story, and we'll talk about other elements also in the next segment, because today I just covered the short stories or anecdotes. Okay, in the next video I'm going to definitely cover stories which are slightly more elaborate and what are the elements related to it. So stay tuned for that. And if you haven't subscribed to Wisdom Zone, please do not forget and subscribe to Wisdom Zone and hit the bell icon and continue following all the videos from Wisdom Zone. Stay tuned for further informative videos.